Our first award recipient is Keith Mesmer, and he is receiving the Pete Gross Best Practices Award. Keith graduated from John Carroll University in 2004. He was hired into Nordonia Hills City Schools, where he has become an integral member of his school and professional community. He is being recognized today for his exemplary professional practice in implementing an effective response to intervention program within Nordonia Hills Schools. Keith has provided professional development in regulations regarding RTI, the purpose of and evidence for RTI, using intervention resources, interpreting Ames web data, and interventions for behaviorally challenging students. In addition to staff-wide training, Keith provides team and individual teacher assistance in developing and monitoring interventions for students. He also supports school staff as a member of the district's emergency management team and curriculum advisory council, elementary building leadership team, and district all-day kindergarten task force. He is also an active member of the Kent-Akron Association of School Psychologists and OSPA, and has published several articles in the TOSP regarding math interventions. For his dedication to best practices within his school community, the OSPA Executive Board is honored to present Keith Mesmer with the 2017 Pete Gross Best Practices Award.
Well, thank you for that introduction. I want to thank the OSPA Executive Board, the Awards Committee. It was about 3 weeks ago when I found myself in the principal's office with a student who had been presenting with some behavioral challenges. At the time, I was also supposed to be at the first of many meetings that day. It was spring after all, and everything was an emergency. The day was just shaping up to be a disaster, and the crescendo of all this commotion, I received a text. It's from my pupil service director. The message was that she needed to see me in central office tomorrow morning. And as I looked at the text, completely overwhelmed and pulled in so many different directions, I thought to myself, well, isn't this nice? There are a few things that went through my mind. Did I drop the ball on a procedural issue? Did someone file due process? In a word, I was catastrophizing. Now, a few weeks prior to my summons to central office, due to the kindness of a wonderful colleague and friend, I knew I was nominated for the Pete Gross Best Practice Award. Now, the timing for the summons to central office and the decision timeline about the award being made, possibly revealed to me, did match up, but you see, some of you know me a little know that my hometown's Buffalo, New York. Buffalo's not generally considered to be an East Coast elite city, but some of the nicest, most humble people come from Buffalo. So, in looking through the lens of where I've come from, the thought that I could be recognized by OSPA was not something that went over my thought process that day. The next fateful morning, it was indeed the big reveal. Carrie, the psych staff, the superintendent, plus Holly, my wife, had gathered to congratulate me. It was a nice gesture, and it was a perfect example of the kind of people that are Nordonia. It was also nice timing because, like most of you in this room, my role and function is consultative or collaborative. And sometimes, between all the PRO1s, shuffling from meeting to meeting, and putting out fires, I've asked the question, am I making a difference? I'm sure we can all remember a special teacher, family member, friend, maybe even a coach. And in our role and function as school psychologists, we might not have as many opportunities to have those intense relationships, but we can have an influence. To have an impact, to do the good work that Pete Gross recognized, we work in groups. What we can do is lead and guide groups to support kids in ways that puts them on the path to becoming a competent reader and improve their learning. Business consultant Simon Sinek said that a leader's job is not to do the work for others, it's to help others figure out how to do it for themselves, to get things done, and to succeed beyond what they thought possible. Often school psychologists are the team members that have the most knowledge about evidence-based practices. We are the ones who lead teams sometimes we're the ones who lead teams not to take action and insist on gathering more data. And sometimes it gets lonely because we're the ones who stand up for something, and sometimes that can mean standing alone. There's not much that we have direct control over in our role and function as school psychologists. However, we are often the ones that calm the hysteria and bring the team back to problem solving. We are the part of the team that upholds the battle cries, all kids can learn, control the controllables, progress is the most important variable, and all decisions are based on data. So with all this talk of influence, it's time for me to express some gratitude to those who've provided me with encouragement, support, and friendship. First, to my mom, who's beaming with pride and boring everyone in heaven about her son who's being honored by OSPA. To my sister, who's been a good sport and let me do every assessment that I was studying in grad school. She's very bright and does not have a disability. For Dr. Jean Jenkins, who has always been so encouraging, who placed me in Mentor for Internship, cohort members and friends Molly Edwards, Stefania Sika, for Becky Dingledine and Donna Voltman, the gold standard for intern supervisors, and for showing me the best way to do things right from the start as an intern. For wonderful pupil service director Sue Chu and her amazing hiring decision, Dr. Margo Costello for her kind words and her recommendation letter, for Carrie Hutchinson for her lightning fast answer to my questions, and who continues to support the PD of our psych staff, for great principals, especially Dr. Karen Muffley. The great minds of the psych staff in Nordonia, Emma Sacha, Laura Miller, Gina Wursdahl, Laura Bovert, Roy Zeman, and particularly Dr. Lynn Cicatelli for her efforts in nominating me. For Joyce Endrick, who makes pupil service run smoothly, to Jen Wilhelm, my kindred spirit. For the interns I've had the good fortune of supervising, David Tomasic, Alan Glassmeyer, Ashley Graham. The interns have endured my daily pontifications, but they've also reminded me that learning is a two-way street. Finally, for the two most important people in my life, to that first-year teacher who I met on internship, who makes me a better person every day, and is a great mom. And to my best buddy, Nolan, who brings me endless joy, amazement, never stops teaching me about kids, and who overpowers me in negotiations on a daily basis. In the epilogue of his book, Big Russ and Me, native Buffalonian and John Carroll alum, great pedigree, Tim Russert penned a letter to his son, Luke, as he was heading off to college. In that letter, he talked about being dependable, that he needed to influence others, and never forget where he came from. He also reminded Luke of something that he heard at a commencement address. Those words were, "The best exercise of the human heart is reaching down and picking someone up." Now, while springtime is the worst time of year for us, please do not lose sight of the bigger picture. I know deadlines are looming. Some of you are typing reports at this conference. And insanity begins with the next request for an initial evaluation, and violence is acceptable if you get a prescription for a doctor for an MFE. Please do not forget that what we do as school psychologists influences lives for the better, and that we do pick others up. Pete Gross recognized the work and the contributions that we make. Sometimes our influence even gets noticed. I am flattered and honored that the awards committee and executive board thought that I should be in the same company as the previous recipients. I want to thank you for your recognition. It really means a lot. Thank you.